Hello, I'm Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer.
I'm Jeff Miller, 2049 Outfitters.
At Everyday Spacer, we show regular folks how to personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. We're here on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 12 midnight Eastern Time, and 3 p.m. on Saturday in Queensland, Australia. We're broadcasting live from Thousand Oaks, California. Deja vu, we have power!
Again. Yeah, we were out for a day. We thought it was going to go like last week, but it was only one day this
Only
time.
one day, yeah.
Hi, Janie.
Yeah. Hi, Janie. Welcome. I guess Cliff is here too. Hi.
Yeah, hi, Cliff.
Yay.
Yeah, hi, Cliff. And Scott. Hey,
and
Scott.
Hey, Scott. Welcome, everybody. Thanks to all of our participants and subscribers. Over 80% of our viewers have not subscribed. However, if you watch 2 or more episodes, please consider subscribing. Tonight's episode is a profile. We're going to talk about Sir Patrick Moore. We'll be back in 8.3 seconds. There's a link to that book in the description. Sir Patrick Moore was an English amateur astronomer who attained prominence in that field as a writer, researcher, radio commentator, and television presenter. He is most widely known for The Sky at Night, a documentary television program on astronomy produced by the BBC. Sir Patrick Moore was the permanent presenter from its first monthly broadcast. That's monthly broadcast. On 24 April 1957 until 7 January 2013. This made it the longest running program with the same presenter in television history. I think he missed one. This profile was suggested by one of our longtime viewers who is greatly influenced by possibly the most influential astronomer in Great Britain. Okay, Jeff, what did you learn in the last few days?
Well, lots. Here, let's share this. And by the way, yeah, he missed a date in 2004 due to food poisoning.
Am I sharing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and share.
Here we go.
Okay, we have the typical Wikipedia. I'm not actually going to go over this much. It has some of his info. And, this is all good. The monocle that he wore was just because they call it an occultist here, but eye doctor. Optometrist is what we would call it now.
That is a weird word to see there, occultist.
Yes. But told him that his right eye was weaker than his left. So instead of wearing a frame with one blank lens in it, he chose to wear the monocle.
Okay.
He probably thought it was distinguished. But there's a whole wiki there. You don't even need the link, just, wiki it. Sky at Night is the TV show that he's best known for. And they have a decent wiki on it.
And that's probably what people were watching to understand and be influenced by him, right?
Yes.
And it was Cliff Watson suggested we talk about.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Cliff.
Yeah, very cool.
He's really neat. And over here, I did find some videos on YouTube, so I'll share those links with you guys. Just in case you want to see what he looks like with various stages of his life. This is probably about when he was reporting on the Apollo missions.
Okay.
In fact, let me show you this. Here are a couple of searches for Sir Patrick Moore and The Sky at Night.
So Cliff says, other than Patrick, also Carl, I presume you mean Carl Sagan, and David Renicky. And David Renicky is here. Hello.
Hi, David.
Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate seeing you.
Yeah.
I guess you have a pretty interesting story with involving Sir Patrick Moore.
Yeah. And then NASA has a write-up of him. It's not very big or good. Unsurprisingly, the best write-up I found was BBC's Sky at Night magazine.
That makes perfect sense.
They have a lot of really good info. In fact, there's a number of different articles. If you can see across the top of my screen, there's a lot of good articles at the Sky and Night, about him and about
Cool.
his show.
All right.
But so this is, somewhat
That looks
early
like a
days.
good telescope.
Yep. Yeah, 12.5 inches what he used.
Ah, okay, 12 and a half.
Yep. But he was actually about to go into college, Cambridge, about to go into Cambridge when World War II happened. And he basically got himself into the British Air Force.
Oh.
I
did not know that.
Yeah, he was 16, so he lied about his age and had a friend do the physical for him because I guess he couldn't pass being 18 or something like that.
Okay.
So he got in, became a navigator, which since he had a lot of interest in the night sky, it really helped him navigate at night.
There it is. David says, I corresponded with him when I was 12. I was inquiring about the British Astronomical Association, and he guided me on how to join the Junior British Astronomical Association. Very cool.
Yeah, that's about when he got involved too.
When he was 12?
Yep. They say that what influenced him the most was this book right here.
Maybe this is the book that, because David says it was from there and reading his books, which I still have. I actually collect them now, is why I got started where I am today.
Right. Yeah. Well, this isn't his book. This was a book owned by him.
Oh, so he was also influenced by.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Another book.
Yeah. That's
books are a great way to start life.
Yeah.
On anything.
Yep. Yeah. Hooked at the age of 6.
Wow.
After reading the 1898 book, The Story of the Solar System. And then he learned constellations and stuff like that. At the age 11, so not too far off from David, when he was looking at joining.
Right.
He became its youngest member and would become its president 50 years later.
Oh, so he was a great person to tell to guide David about it. All right. Yeah. Cliff says, Professor Brian Cox, Brian May, and many others on the Night at Sky show and have many books of his. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is still going, this Night at Sky show. That's cool. Yeah. Thanks, Cliff. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so he was 14 years old when he was asked to take over the running of the observatory at Brookhurst Observatory.
Wow.
In East Grinstead. That's, and yeah, the monocle, everything that talks about him talks about the monocle and how he started using it. This talks about his, World War II. His fiance died in one of the German bombing raids.
Goodness.
And he never really got married after that. He said
Sounds
something.
Like he didn't get over it.
Yeah, and he said, I would have liked a wife and family, but it was not to be. So I guess he considered that his one shot.
David says he was eccentric, and that's putting it mildly, but in a nice way. The typewriter he used was, 100,000 years old? Only kidding. It was pretty ancient, though.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah. And that book that I showed you, he apparently taught himself how to type by copying that entire book.
Oh, right. You were telling me that before as an episode. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good way to learn stuff, too. Still is the longest continual show and still running. Is it still monthly?
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever really knew about that show. I mean, I lived in England. Oh. Yeah, I lived in England for about a year, but I don't remember hearing about that show. And we watched a lot of British TV. There's some.
Well, you were young enough that you might have seen it and not remember.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
And not really into space exploration and science and astronomy at that point. Not really.
Yeah.
Science. I really love science, but.
Yeah. So this talks about a lot of his early, non-astronomy stuff. Oh, another quote that I remember seeing is that he was a professional amateur astronomer.
Yeah. pretty good description because
Yeah.
he wasn't really a paid astronomer, but
Right.
he
Yeah.
it was sure involved in a lot of the things he did.
Yeah. In fact, that book that was about the moon that inspired him, oh, the story of the solar system, but he got so interested in the moon that he set up his 12.5-inch reflecting scope and studied the moon so much that he then wrote the in 1952 he wrote his own book, Guide to the Moon, later renamed Patrick Moore on the Moon, on the 1908 Woodstock typewriter.
Not quite 100,000 years old.
Yeah.
David says, one of my greatest regrets in my astronomical career is never having the chance to meet this man.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. He has, by everything that I've seen, he'd be a really interesting man to meet. And the videos that I found, we're probably going to be watching over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, they look really interesting.
Yeah, it's been a weird week, actually 2 weeks. So I think we would have seen at least one or two of them by now already, but not so much now.
Yeah.
Not yet. We will.
Yeah. Power's been out a few times, so. Yeah. Although it did make the old joke of watching TV by candlelight when the power goes out. Well, we actually, through hotspot on our phone and a laptop that had some charge, we actually read stories on the internet by candlelight.
I watched some Netflix.
Yeah, on your phone.
On my phone, yeah.
But the book that he wrote was such a success that it was reprinted before it was even published. I guess the demand was so high that they had they planned a second run.
Wow.
Even before they ran it through the press.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And here's another thing that I had never heard of. He had a bunch of science fiction novels.
Yeah, I never knew that either.
With such titles as The Master of the Moon. Now, I looked on Gutenberg Press, and they aren't there. None of his books are there. So, that'd be something to track down. And yeah, you guys said that you collect his books. Well,
yeah, sounds like David is collecting them.
Yeah, David. I don't know if you have any of his science fiction, but probably old school science fiction like Clark and the like. Showing real science in the science fiction.
Yeah, I really like that kind of science fiction personally.
Yep. And the Night Sky Show, by the mid-1950s, he was no stranger to appearing on TV and radio programs as an expert astronomer. Basically, he knows how to speak on TV, so that was he became an expert. He, during one of the regular outbreaks of flying saucer sightings, he was asked to argue the case against alien visitations on a live BBC TV debate.
Wow.
And
that must be amazing to watch.
Yeah. And he was basically, from there, he was asked to be the front man of a new astronomy TV show in development called Star Map.
Huh. Interesting. Cliff has a comment. Yes, monthly. I guess the show's still running monthly. Yeah. I can send you a few DVDs of the shows if you want. You can see the old shows. Yeah, I think we'll try and Google them.
Yeah, and like I said, I've got. I think I showed. There's a couple of lists of his shows right here, and in fact, I think I've seen this one right here. But we're gonna have to see a bunch of them. There's whole playlists here, which
good.
Yes, we're going to be busy.
Yep. Cool.
Oh yeah. So that Star Map became The Sky at Night.
Ah, okay.
And he did it. It was broadcast on a trial basis, but it quickly became a monthly fixture.
Very cool.
But, in the late 50s, early 60s, that was the height of the space race, all of that stuff. So there was a lot of interest in space.
Yes.
So that, that helped a lot. And
I think we're seeing a resurgence of that with SpaceX launches and the Blue Origin launches now.
Yeah.
They made their first orbiting.
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually made it into orbit around, but
from
they
what
made
I
it high
read,
enough.
it's an orbital flight. I don't know. I don't know if they circularized it or not.
Yeah. But they went from suborbitals to now orbital. So yay,
Yep.
New Glenn.
Yep. Oh, Cliff said.
Oh, no kidding. He even wrote the music for the show.
Well, we'll
Wow.
definitely have to watch an episode of it just to hear the music then.
That's amazing.
Yeah. The Sky at Night was broadcasting just at the right time in October 1959 when the Russian probe Lunik 3 was orbiting the moon. So, they basically caught the wave, and that
timing.
gave them,
That's a big deal.
Yep. So active member of the British Astronomical Association, he was at one time director of sections devoted to observing Venus, Mercury, and the moon.
Nice.
And they especially the moon.
Sounds like he was very interested in the moon.
Yeah.
Well, and they went to the moon during his lifetime. So yeah.
And that's what I like about this Sky at Night magazine. So many links in here to other things. How Patrick Moore mapped the moon.
Cool.
Again, there's a wealth of information in here. I highly recommend it.
Cliff says 1959 when he was born.
Yeah.
Right on. You're born in the space age.
Yep.
Me too.
Yep.
Jeffy too.
Yep. One of my first memories is watching the Apollo 11 landing.
Yep. I remember that too.
Yep. Now, unfortunately, he did cover the Apollo 11 landing in England, but the BBC being the BBC, there are no copies of that anymore.
Oh, no.
So, unfortunately, that's gone. Apparently, someone has an audio of a section of that because they just recorded it, and but it doesn't have all of it. So, there is something of that.
Yeah, a bunch of like the Doctor Who's. There's audio and pictures.
Yeah.
And they've recreated the whole episode.
Yeah.
With just that.
And interestingly, he covered the Apollo missions live with fellow presenter James Burke.
James Burke.
Yeah.
He'd be a good profile too.
I thought we did one on him.
I don't think we have yet.
Oh, if we haven't, then I really want to do one.
Yeah. I get that.
Here he is with
Neil.
Yep. Neil Armstrong.
David says, funny now, but I remember I was using a 60mm refractor and following Patrick by sketching the moon as a teenager. I remember him saying he had a 3-inch must be refractor, and boy was I envious. Imagine how he would love to see some of the big telescopes we've got now. Yes. Well, and he had one too.
He had a 12 and a half.
12 and a half, yeah. So according to Goodreads, Sir Patrick Moore has 28 books with 702 ratings on their platform. Atlas of the Universe is most popular. Fantastic, Janie Becker. Thank you for looking that up.
Yeah. So Goodreads if you want to find books. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. Goodreads is a great place to find out about books.
Yeah. Because I found some here just going to Amazon. And
we put a link to that in the description as well.
Yeah. Now, not all of these are him, but but he's like at least part of in this one. And I remember that shot. I don't know if I've read that book, but
yeah, I don't think I have.
Teacher Still Astronomy.
Oh, that looks really good.
Yeah.
2008. Okay, a little bit more modern.
Yeah. But then there's Patrick Albert Moore, so not the same guy. But there's Brian May, and etc.
I love that.
And so,
guitarist from Queen, the rock band Queen, who's an astronomer.
Oh.
Wrote a book with Sir Patrick Moore.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, a lot of good books. A lot of good books here. So
Wait, he says, Cliff says, oh, the magazine is fantastic. I have seen the video on the Sky at Night show on an anniversary show. What magazine? Which magazine?
Yeah, I think he's talking about the Sky at Night magazine.
Okay. Oh, it says magazine at the top. Let's see. Said to a little bit more. I believe he lost his fiance very early in his life, maybe during the war.
He did.
And he never really got over it. Never married. How sad.
Yeah. Yeah, they covered it in this article here. She died in one of the German bombing raids.
Yeah, tragic.
Yep. Yeah. So he actually covered Apollo 17 at the Cape.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the first time that he wasn't in a studio during the launch.
Yeah. Somebody from our local astronomy group, I sent out the email announcing this to the local people, and he writes back and he says, yeah, he was somewhere when Sir Patrick Moore was covering. I didn't think it was Apollo 17, but that must have been it.
Yeah, because apparently he was over in the studio in England, for the other ones.
Yeah.
So
I guess that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Webb.
Yeah.
He says he was working on that too. So
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So he covered Voyager. He covered basically a lot of the early ones, including the Mariner 9 mission.
Very cool.
And above all, he was tireless in promoting astronomy to the public, as David experienced. Anyone who showed an interest was given the warmest encouragement.
I'd say he's an everyday spacer.
Yeah. Yep. Many professional astronomers owe their careers to the inspiration they received from a tour of his telescopes and a cup of tea with him.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yep. Members of the public would merely have to write to him to be invited to his home.
There you go, David.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. And the Cardwell catalog. Oh, I meant the vid of Neil and Patrick. Oh, I see. The anniversary show from before.
Yeah.
And this one.
Yeah. Oh, and the Cardwell catalog. Because,
yes.
Patrick Moore, his last name starts with the Moore, so he was doing a catalog out there, and he couldn't call them M objects because Messier already had that.
Yes.
So Cardwell was actually an ancestral name for his family before it became Moore. So that's where he came up with the idea for the Cardwell catalog. So that's he performed TV comedy alongside the likes of, now I don't recognize any of these names, Michael Bentine,
British, I'm sure.
Yeah, Morecambe and Wise and John Colshaw, and he once joined the Flat Earth Society as a joke.
Oh my God.
I'm getting a really good picture of this man, and I can see him chuckling his butt off about that.
That would be wild if, just show up there.
Well, and here's the thing: is
just imagine what he would do.
The flat earthers are so out of touch that they probably wouldn't even recognize him, even in England. You
make a good point. But here it is. Cliff says his name is Patrick Cardwell Moore.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
But the Cardwell he got from an ancestral name of their family. So.
Got it.
Yeah,
the Cardwell catalog, there's some nice alliteration there.
Yeah.
What else you got, Jeff?
Okay, just more timeline of his life. Born in 1923, and became hooked not long after that.
Yeah, he was 6, like you said.
Yeah. So this is a lot of 2004 salmonella causes him to miss the sky at night for the first time ever.
Wow.
So that meant that 2004, he sets the record for the longest serving presenter on the same program.
Wow.
And it's still not beat.
Well, he lived a long
Yep.
time.
Yep, 2012, dies at the age of 89. And I hope, what's that?
Cliff is catching up. Oh, hi, Dave. I love
Yeah.
our audience.
You know, this is really interesting. Again,
Looks like a planisphere behind him there.
yeah, I think it is. But this
Is that the set?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I never knew about this.
this is letters from Patrick Moore and how the Sky at Night program was born. So this is a series of letters between him and Paul Johnstone.
Ah,
And
to get it going, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And several pages of the back and forth. And so if you're interested in the history of this is it right here.
That'd be fascinating.
Yeah. And I'll put all of these links in the
Good.
in the comments. But so, and then this goes on about actually the timeline of the letters and getting the show together.
Mm-hmm. How long basically did it take him to get from inception to
56
on the air?
To this is all 57. So
about a year, maybe a year or less.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it looks like slightly less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose with the heating up of the space race, that would have helped out.
Yeah. Sputnik probably,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, wait, you had this on the line? Drag him in. How Patrick Moore mapped the moon. Yeah. So 3-inch refractor, which he still has, like I said.
Wow.
And so this is how he
must have been drawing it, right?
Oh yeah.
There wouldn't have been pictures of.
No, there wouldn't have been.
Picture taking.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, drawing the moon is a really good way to learn it.
Yeah. Well, and he says the drawings themselves were of no scientific value whatsoever. That was not my reason for making them. I was now ready to attempt something which might be possibly useful. He got his 12.5-inch reflector and occasional use of a 6-inch refractor. And then never try to draw too large an area at any one time because inaccuracies are bound to creep in straight away. So, he taught himself how to draw the moon by drawing the moon.
Yeah, I like the first line. You didn't speak it. I had learned how to avoid some elementary pitfalls of mapping.
Yep.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Even if it's not, quote, a contribution to science, I think it's a useful endeavor. Anytime I've drawn anything, I've absolutely learned so much about it just by careful observing. All right, so we got a comment. Cliff says, I have met many Pams and they all know of Patrick Moore. And they say, don't forget the sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Do you have a thing when he was knighted? When was he knighted?
I did have it in the timeline.
Okay.
Here, let's see.
Knighted, there it is.
2001. Knighted by Prince Charles at Buckingham Palace.
Who is now the king.
King, yep.
Wow.
But so that was pretty late in in his career.
Yeah, that happens to a lot of them, though.
Yep.
They've made such a lifetime contribution, really.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, so this just goes on, and like I said, I'll put this in because this goes in about how he went about mapping the moon.
Ah, okay.
And is
that part of his drawing?
Yeah.
Stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of fascinating.
Yep. Yeah. So this is just apparently the Russians actually looked for his book for their unmanned probe that they were trying to land on the moon,
Okay.
because they considered it the best reference for what the lunar surface was.
Oh, okay. His drawings, you mean?
Yeah.
Wow, no kidding.
Yep.
That's kind of wild.
And so this is the Caldwell. This is about the Caldwell catalog that Cliff mentioned. Yeah. And it's just a number of objects. So it's other objects like NGC 752 is also C28. So because it's in his catalog also.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So these are sea objects.
Yeah.
Did they talk about what? So he's curated this list. Does he
Right.
have what the list? What are the aspects of the list that
let's take a look.
he wanted to catalog?
I don't think so. Minimum size telescope for this challenge. Oh, and there's the challenge of finding all of the sea catalogs. Is that you want at least a 4-inch refractor.
Mm-hmm.
Are
there just 15 objects in the catalog?
No.
Is that what I'm reading?
Or this is just 15 of the catalog. That's the
challenge.
I see.
Right? I see. Okay.
I haven't actually seen the catalog itself. So, but this is the origins of the catalog, and there's some objects in the catalog.
I wonder if it would be one of the there's some groups out there you can actually get certificates and stuff for seeing them, finding them, whatever.
Yep.
Cliff says, I still get a tear when I hear the title music of the show. That I missed that man.
Yeah. I probably have the same nostalgia for that you have for that music as I have for the opening for what they called Project Universe here, which was basically a college. It was Astronomy 101 shown on public TV here.
Okay.
And by the guy who eventually became the director for Griffith Observatory.
Oh.
But the music for it was fanfare for the common man. And so, yes, I can really understand how that would be nostalgic for you, because fanfare is nostalgic for me.
Got it.
So, yeah, so this, again, I'll put all of these things in here. But another thing that they have in the thing, Sir Patrick Moore's top 10 winter astronomy sites.
Nice.
Now, I'm going to bet that they have summer, maybe spring and fall too, but this is the one that I found. And so you can find the rest. But so they talk about, Messier 37, so these aren't just in his catalog. These are serious. These are just all things that he would say, if it's winter time, look for these. I don't know that one. Double star, but apparently with a decent scope, you can see the separation.
Got it.
So, yeah. So this is Crab Nebula. Apparently he just likes it.
There's a lot of good stuff in the winter sky in the northern hemisphere.
Hey Pam,
I don't know as much
what's
about
on his list.
I don't know as much about the southern hemisphere. Sorry.
Yeah.
Seven Sisters.
Yep. Yeah, and he wouldn't have seen much in the southern hemisphere either, because he's higher latitude than we are.
Yes. Yeah. It's basically the same as Ohio.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's about it. I already showed you the other things up here, the Amazon and the two of these. So I'm going to start putting these in.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and Dawn's here. Hey. There's 109 objects in the Caldwell catalog. Excellent. Thank you so much for checking. I think the Astronomical League has a challenge. list to find them. And that was what I was trying to remember, the Astronomical League. Thank you so much, Dawn, and welcome. We're glad you're here. I hadn't seen you earlier, so excellent. Okay, so we'll watch for your comments continually throughout this, but I'm going to go ahead with some stellar events this week. We're talking about January 17th through January 24th. And on the 18th, the moon is on the equator and at descending node. Also, Venus is 2.2 degrees north of Saturn. January 20th, is the moon is at apogee, and Spica is 0.1 degrees north of the moon. That's really close. I know there was an occultation like last week, but this might be too. It didn't say so in the calendar, right?
They almost never say. I've never seen them say an occultation if it's north. Oh, and Cliff wrote, I have the Works album, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, way before you. Yes. Yeah.
Is that what's on there?
That's fanfare.
Fanfare. Okay. January 21st is the last quarter moon, and Pluto and the Sun are in conjunction. It's also the next Globe at Night project begins. Let me go ahead and share my screen for that because, whoops, let me get to the right place for that too. There it is, Globe at Night. I'm going to talk about that just a little bit. But the Globe at Night is an international citizen science campaign to raise public awareness of the impact of light pollution by inviting citizen scientists to measure and submit their night sky brightness observations. And I don't think we've really covered this before, but there is a video here and a whole bunch of really good stuff. Can you find Orion? And they talk about how to do it. Also, Canis Major. And they're very excited about the 2025 campaign. They've already got 178 observations, which it was kind of wild because they're opening the next campaign like in a couple of days. So here's the page that explains the campaigns, and that was basically under the observe in the navigation here. So go ahead and read the 6 easy star hunting steps. You want to look after sunset, well after sunset, and you can use an app on your phone. You go out and you use the report page, which is the next tab I have set up, and you can describe what you're seeing. With a smartphone, you can put the date, time, location automatically. I think you have to go, allow that. Otherwise, please type them in. You can choose the star chart that looks most closely to what you see toward your constellation, like the faintest things. They're looking for really how faint of stars can you see. Also, they want to know about cloud cover in your area. And I think they made a typo here. I think they're talking about 2025. During some of the 2025 Globe at Night campaigns, there will be more than one choice for which constellation is optimal to use. So we're going to talk about January 21st through the 30th. That is the next campaign. It's 10 days long. If you are, and they have it northern constellations on the left here and the southern constellations on the right when you look at the website. I'll switch them up sometimes, but Orion is the object in the northern hemisphere that you're going to look for. Orion or Canis Major are the options for the southern hemisphere, and you can see the next dates and so on. But I want to go ahead. I don't think we've ever shown you this page. This is the report page, and I would just follow them along in order. Number 1, when did you make your observation? And again, the phone will tell it if the phone will report it if you are on your phone on the app. Where were you when you made your observations? The phone will do that too if you're on the phone. Did you use a sky quality meter, SQM? Now, they have a little question mark here, but they don't actually tell you how to do it. I guess if you have one, you kind of know. But if you have one, tell them you're reading. How dark was the sky that night? And it's kind of cool because they actually just let you pick from these magnitude down here. And as you see, the higher the number, the more stars that you can see from your side. That's going to be a really, really, really dark middle of the ocean type sky. Mm-hmm. So if you want...
Or northern Idaho when I was a kid.
Okay. So you can also put these in yourself, pick places, add comments. And then this is the cloud cover part. Is it clear? Is there a little bit of clouds? Half of it, more than half. And you can make some more comments down here. And then if you're ready, and if you have a SciStarter account, you can earn credits. So go ahead and add that information there and then submit the data. So yeah, and I think it's basically for any night of the campaign. You can go out there and make a report.
Okay.
I don't know if it's more than one a night, but it's definitely at least one a night. Yeah.
I've got more comments that are hidden amongst all of the links that I posted.
Go for it.
So Cliff said, and we have a comment down here.
I saw something about that.
Yeah. And of course,
tell us more.
Yeah, I don't think we have it listed because since we get Northern Hemisphere sources.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to see it, I don't think.
Yeah, and we're not going to know about it either because they don't really
I catch window things like on Facebook and stuff.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, what else you got?
Probably from Cliff, but
all kinds of people.
Yeah.
All kinds of people.
Janie says another delightful profile. Thank you, Janie.
Thanks for being here, Janie.
Yep, and
happy to serve.
Yep.
All right.
Caught up now.
All right, good. So to continue our ephemeris, January 23rd, Mars is 2.3 degrees south of Pollux. January 24th, Antares is 0.3 degrees north of the moon. And then we're back to January 24th, which is the Friday night show. And we have another audience recommendation coming. Learn more soon. Find us Fridays at 9 p.m. Pacific time on the Everyday Spacer Facebook page and the Everyday Spacer YouTube channel. What inspires you the most for this coming week? Is that a daylight comment? Oh.
Yeah. Dawn asks Cliff, is that a daylight comment?
Cliff, let us know.
Cliff, Patrick started me in astronomy. Then I met Dave on a cold morning on a field near Sightings Springs Observatory, and that really got it going. Thanks, Dave. Well,
very cool. And of course, the adventure has continued across the globe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just interject something here really quickly because I've been thinking about things like legacy and longevity because Everyday Spacer is more than me. It's more than us. And how do we continue this? Because someday, I mean, I'm getting to the point where it's like, boy, these show notes are getting hard to read. And of course, we won't be here forever. But I think Everyday Spacer, the concept, can continue even past our lifetimes. So how do we do that? What we need some ideas and some maybe scouting. Maybe people can stay alert to folks who would like to host an episode here and there of the show themselves, or maybe with us helping, that kind of thing. But yeah, I would really like to see this go on well past, the time I'm here. I'm walking this earth. So any ideas, any thoughts, any suggestions? Love to hear it.
Yep. Okay. And we have, I think this is Cliff answering Dawn's question. Is it a daylight comet? It's as the sun sets.
As the sun sets. Okay.
Yep. The way you say it, as the sun sets, sounds like a soap opera. David Renicky says, long live Patrick Moore's memory. Yep.
I think he certainly left a legacy and many, many books.
Yeah. And just because Cliff and, I think David's talked about him in the past, but Cliff brought him up here and now we know about him and now we get to hunt up his videos and watch his videos.
I remember books from before too. I just haven't read a whole bunch of them.
Going to, I hear a rumor. I think a rumor.
Oh, a rumor.
With Trump is thinking about buying NASA.
I hadn't heard that one.
And
I'd like to buy NASA.
Yeah.
What a great brand, huh?
Yeah.
All right, you want to do this part?
Sure, why not? If you or someone you know has done something interesting involving space exploration, science, or astronomy, we'd love to share our live. Join us again next Friday, January 24th. I will be out of town, so Pam will be delving into space junk and safety on Earth. So thanks to Janie Becker for this episode idea.
Yeah, Janie's given us a bunch of different ideas, and I'm going to do my best to get to all of them.
Yep.
So anybody can make an idea, and Dave did fix his rumor word.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Still stormy, Cliff?
Yeah, well.
It's always clear straight up.
Yeah. Well, there was JP, John Powell has a solution to that. Dark Sky Observatory.
Mm-hmm.
Just float yourself up.
And remember,
we top of the atmosphere.
We did an episode on the telescopes that you can control in other parts of the world. So if you want to like work up a plan for yourself to do some things
Mhm.
involving telescopes in other places. There are some that are available for free. I think you can get even time on like big deal telescopes. I mean, you need to submit a proposal and tell them what you're going to do with it, all that stuff. I'm sure there's a whole list of things that you have to satisfy for them to.
Well, yeah,
to
it has to
do
be
that,
scientifically significant, I think, is one of their things.
Okay, I don't know. I've never tried that, but I really want to. Can you see the full moon? Ah, I might get to get pictures of the full moon from those other telescopes. I don't know why you would, but
Yeah. But, well, think about it this way, Cliff. You don't have to worry about werewolves in your area.
they can't see. God. Shall we do a shout out?
Or wear sheep.
What?
Sorry.
Oh, been really cold so far.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw Mars and Jupiter a couple of days ago, and you were talking to me about tomorrow night. I'm pretty sure it's Venus and Saturn. Right, Dawn? That's going to be so close because I'm like looking at the sky and going, wait, Venus is over here and Jupiter's way over there. When's this going to happen? But I think it's Saturn and Venus.
Yeah,
Dawn. Very
close. I'm going to be in Michigan, so yes, I'm going to be experiencing that cold. My sister says that the weather's going to be pretty.
Oh, good.
Pretty dreadful.
Oh, you have to get a scope from Dave. I've seen them talking on Facebook.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, is there anything else you want to add about Sir Patrick Moore? Because you seem to be have more expertise than either of us.
Yeah.
Except what we looked up tonight.
Yeah.
Saturn and Venus. Yeah.
Yeah. And Dave, I know you've done some stuff up here. Have you ever done a video on Sir Patrick Moore? With since you know him better than we do, I'd be interested in seeing that and sharing that if you've done something like that. Yeah.
And I was just going back through the ephemeras, 2.2 degrees north of Saturn.
Yeah.
Wait, Venus is north? Oh, north of Saturn. North, okay.
Yeah. Okay. David said.
Comet or comment? Okay, and the boondocks won't be seen. Ah.
Comet, yeah.
I think I read about that. Like, very rare.
Yep.
And I think I've seen some pictures on Facebook and stuff.
Yep.
We're so glad we're here with us tonight, David. We've missed you a lot. It's always better when you and Dawn and Cliff and Janie and Scott. Did we get everybody?
Yep.
Are here with us and look things up for us and share your observations with us and what's going on in your neck of the woods. I think I got everybody right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's probably spell checking for you, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. That's no fun.
Yeah. All right. So folks, thanks so much for being here. Oops. We will continue to watch for your comments too. Yeah.
David, just so you know, we didn't explain this last week, but we are in no danger from the fires. If you think about it, here, hang on. We are here. The fires are kind of doing this.
The wind.
Yeah.
The wind
in fact, one of them started here. The other one started here. But that's the direction they were going because of the wind.
Even the auto fire in Ventura was quite a ways away from us.
Yeah, it was way on the other side.
Not blowing away. And then there's like a big, well, would you call it a mountain between here and there? I don't know. I'm from Ohio. It's a mountain to me.
And Ventura?
Yeah.
Well, we're up on the hills. Ventura's in flatland.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a long ways away.
Yeah, it's pretty distant. I kind of caught the smell of smoke a couple of times, but very briefly. Nothing really.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've been really like we had power outages, but
yeah,
it's a minor inconvenience compared to all the other issues.
Compared to whole cities losing their house.
Yeah, it's really tragic.
Yeah. So, and Cliff says,
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah,
And
Pam let me know about that. So
I sent you to the right people because they're going to make sure it all gets to the families that need it.
Yep. And David, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, the Hollywood sign itself.
That was in danger, wasn't it?
Well, there was fire around it, but they replaced it with, they had replaced it in the past with a cement sign.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In the same shape.
Because I think the
So-
original was very chintzy, cheapo,
Right.
a
So-
real estate marketing thing.
Right. And it was actually Hollywood land, but the land part
Yeah.
fell over. So it just became Hollywood. But so basically the hill that it was on burned, but once they clean the soot off the sign, it'll just be back to
Oh.
normal. So
I suppose if it's hot enough, that would eliminate the concrete too. But
yeah.
I'm sure they'll rebuild it.
Yeah, Cliff.
Too much of a landmark.
That wind was blowing so fast, Cliff, that the fire just went until it hit the water, until it hit the ocean, and Malibu was in the way.
Yeah.
I know of a few people whose houses survived.
Very few houses survived.
Yeah. But like in a whole block of everything's down, a couple houses survived, but that's because of the way they built them.
Yeah, one of our spacer friends lost his house in Altadena. They were in they're in Wisconsin right now because I think he's out there on a contract of some sort. He works at JPL, but he's out in Wisconsin, and they were renting the house in Altadena.
They rented it out, yeah.
And the renters got out, but the house is just gone. I saw pictures, and it's just it's devastating. And I know people that know dozens of others who are suffering, and it's yeah. Thank you for anything you said, Cliff. Really appreciate that. Yeah, you told us about going with Steve.
Yeah. And thank you, David. Great show, you guys. With my workload, I can hardly get around to coming on all that often. But all the best for the future and until we talk again. Yeah, David.
Thank you, David.
And keep us up to date with what you're working on, and we'll talk about it on the show here.
Yeah.
Because I want to help support that as much as possible.
With bushfires? Yeah, it's and it's kind of bizarre. Sometimes you'll see ashes and like, oh my God, that's somebody's house.
Yeah, well,
it's crazy.
When you've got a fire and 30 to 50 mile per hour winds.
Oh, I think they were even higher this time.
Yeah, and sometimes
70, 80.
Gusting higher. Yeah. You get one ember and it can be miles away. When it, and still burning by the time it hits down somewhere. And that's why it spreads so well.
And I think if they don't, hit it hard enough, fast enough, and the heat can bring it back.
Well, in fact, the heat outside a house was lighting the curtains inside the house. Yeah. Even though the windows were shut, the fire did not actually travel to inside the house. Just the heat lit the curtains. So yeah.
Where did we hear about that? I forgot.
Yeah, I forget too. But
hey, that's cool.
Yep. Oh, good.
Starting a sightseeing on a cruise boat. Astronomy sightseeing on a cruise. Yeah, I can totally believe that. Someone from the East Coast tried to do that out here in Los Angeles, and I'm like, how do you do like telescopes? But I have a feeling it was really for like a meteor shower or to see the Milky Way, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Tell
us more about that. We'd love to hear.
Oh, bushfires statewide, huge. Yep.
Mm.
Yeah. But fortunately for you, there aren't usually a lot of houses in the middle of that. Here, it's LA. It's Los Angeles.
Very
all
densely
houses.
populated here.
In fact, there was one picture of there was some woodland around the houses. Everything burnt except for the woodland. The house is burnt, but not the woodland.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Maybe the trees were wet enough or something.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I've seen your stuff on Facebook about the island.
Yeah.
In northern Australia.
Yeah. So,
nice.
Yep.
Yeah, we would love to talk about it to anybody, everybody, all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, we really appreciate and like to share and support and promote you guys, that kind of thing. Oh, laser guided sky tours. Okay,
well, they're on a boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
The telescope wouldn't work too good.
If it's big enough, I can see it.
Yeah.
Potentially working out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't tried it. It's out here. It's a fairly expensive per person endeavor because a boat is quite a lot of money, and if you try and parse it between all the people, it gets up there, and I don't think a lot of people want to do it.
Yeah.
That's why the guy isn't doing it out here anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Come on, Australia.
Yeah. Well,
Out here, I don't know.
And we've had big fires before in about the same time frame, but there were so few people around that it wasn't really news. I mean, the last one that was really big news was San Francisco.
Oh.
burned down, and
Hmm.
it wasn't, most of the damage in the San Francisco earthquake was just because stuff caught on fire, and it was a firestorm that was triggered by something in the earthquake.
And part of the reason they turned our power off was so that the wind did not down the lines, causing a spark that would start a fire.
Right.
But I wouldn't mind if they put those underground.
Yeah, well,
because I mean, we did it in Ohio decades ago. So.
A lot of them are, but
Yeah.
like our property line's kind of messy, and so to put them underground would be a little bit difficult, but it'd still be doable. They just would need to get permissions from property owners to do it here.
Okay.
So,
all right. Anything else from you?
No.
We will continue to watch for your comments as well. Thank you so much for being here, folks. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe out there, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Good night, folks.
Good night. There's the button. There it is.
There's the button.
Bye.
Push the button.
Yeah.